Welcome to the ClearPath ePortal Developer 4.1 Capabilities demonstration. This video is part of a series of videos which explain the steps to develop different types of data sources and presentation projects in ePortal Developer for modernizing ClearPath applications. In this demonstration, we will show you how to create a data source project for a DPS 2200 application using COBOL screen definitions. To generate these COBOL screen definitions, refer to Generating DPS 2200 Screen Definitions video. The DPS 2200 application that we have selected is a DPS eBank application which implements some simple banking operations such as accessing account balance and transferring funds between accounts. Let's get started. To create a data source project for DPS 2200 application in ePortal Developer, first we need to generate ePortal formatted COBOL working storage from DPS screen definitions. In DPS 2200 COBOL screen definitions video, you can see how to generate ePortal formatted COBOL working storage from DPS screen definitions as .connector files. Now, we will create DPS 2200 data source project by importing these .connector COBOL files. We will create a new Visual Studio project by selecting menu option File, New, Project. We will now see the Visual Studio New Project dialog box. Notice that under project types, Unisys ePortal projects got added after the installation of the ePortal developer. There are two project types, one to create data source projects and the other for presentation projects. The first step in any ClearPath application modernization process using ePortal developer is to create a data source project. In this demonstration, we are creating a ClearPath OS 2200 data source. So let's click on the OS 2200 data source. We can see there are two types of data source projects available for ClearPath OS 2200: OpenDTP and TIP. Let's select the OS 2200 TIP data source project type as DPS 2200 applications interact with ePortal using TIP environment. Let's name the project for our data source as eBank Data Source. For the location, let's select a folder named Workspace. For the solution, let's give the name DPS eBank. Click OK to create the project. Now, let's start with the first development step and create server and client messages. Server messages flow between the ClearPath server and ePortal runtime. Client messages flow between ePortal runtime and the final presentation application. We will be creating these messages by importing COBOL definitions of the DPS screens. Now right-click the Server Messages node in the ePortal Messages window and click New. It will open the OS 2200 TIP configuration dialog. Here we provide the server application information. OS 2200 hostname is the DNS name or IP address of the OS 2200 system hosting the DPS eBank sample application. In our case it is rs20.rsvl.unisys.com. For port number, let's enter 2407. OS 2200 character set specify the character set in use by the DPS eBank sample application. This we will leave to the default of US ASCII. Click OK. OS 2200 COBOL data source wizard will be opened. The first page that comes up is the welcome page. Let's now check the option Don't show this welcome screen again and click Next. On this screen, we will select the COBOL screen definition file. Let's click the Browse button. and then select the screen20.connector COBOL screen definition file. Let's check the Preview Source checkbox to view the source code from the selected file. We can see the COBOL 01 record for the screen Bufen 20 data. Now, as we have selected the COBOL screen definition file, click Next. The next page displayed is the Data Description Selection page. This page displays the list of data descriptions from the file we selected on the previous page. This can generate three kinds of server messages. In messages are being used to call DPS services on OS 2200, and output from DPS services on OS 2200 is returned in out messages. In this video, we will create in, out, and both in and out messages required for performing get accounts and transfer funds for DPS eBank operations. Let's start adding in-server messages first. Select the screen Bufen 20 data, COBOL data description, and click Next. The next page displayed is the data definition page. For the server message direction, let's select value as input. For tip transaction code, enter the name of the tip transaction as configured in val tab on the OS 2200 server. This value depends on what val tab update file was used on the OS 2200 server to create the val tab entry. For the DPS eBank application, the value of tip transaction code is DPS EB. So let's enter DPS EB in the text box. Now, before we hit the Finish button, let's check the option Select another COBOL data description. This will make it easy to add more server messages. Remember that corresponding client messages will be generated automatically because of the auto-create client message capability of the ePortal developer. Click Finish. Again, Wizard will take us to the page where we select the COBOL data definition file. Let's click the Browse button and select the screen21.connector COBOL screen definition file. Click the Next button to go to the Data Description selection page. Select the screen Bufen 21 data COBOL data description and click Next. The next page displayed is the Data Definition page. For the server message direction, let's select value as both input and output. When a server message direction is set to both input and output, then the same server message will be used to send and receive data from the server. Next, we have to select the unique identification for this data description. ePortal runtime uses this unique identifier to select the correct ePortal server message when the data is received from the OS 2200 application. If there is no existing field which can be used as an identifier, then such a field or fields must be added to the data description. Please remember that when you need to add a unique identifier to a working storage definition, you will also need to modify the DPS application. Here we can see that a field S21 name with value Bufen TR exists in the screen Bufen TR 21 data COBOL 01 record. So click the S21 name field and then click the Select button on its right. It will get added to the list of selected fields which act as an identifier. Click Finish to add the other server message. Again, Wizard will take us to the page where we select the COBOL data definition file. Let's click the Browse button and then select the screen27.connector COBOL screen definition file. Click the Next button to go to the Data Description selection page. Select the Screen Accounts 27 data COBOL data description and click Next. On the Data Definition page, select the direction of message as output. Screen accounts 27 data is a server message received from OS 2200. So click the S27 name field and then click the Select button on its right. It will get added to the list of selected fields which act as an identifier. Click Finish to add other out server messages. The same steps need to be followed to create other out server messages for the screen23.connector COBOL screen definition file. When doing it for screen confirm 23 data, remove the selection for checkbox, select another COBOL data description and click the Finish button. Once we return to the ePortal message window, we can see that server messages and corresponding client messages have been generated. We can orchestrate the message flow for this DPS eBank data source project by referring to the steps described in the OS 2200 data source message orchestration video. Once message orchestration is complete, any presentation project can be added to this solution as described in various OS 2200 presentation project videos. This completes the demonstration. Unisys offers a comprehensive set of ClearPath services to enrich the value of your ClearPath applications, data and systems. Please contact your Unisys representative for more information.